So I am elated to introduce our closing keynote speaker today. You all are in for a real treat this afternoon. So I'm going to give you the 411 on Anna Oakes. You're really going to enjoy this. So Anna is here to motivate the intrapreneurs and the entrepreneurs in attendance today. Anna has been described as someone who thinks like a CEO, but connects like a mentor and friend. And after almost 20 years inside companies, from little startups to big Fortune 500, Anna's now celebrating her 5th anniversary as a business owner and entrepreneur, Oakes Company. And her time at Oakes Company is spent helping organizations and employees embrace and leverage their intrapreneurial mindset. She'll tell you a little more about that during her presentation. Her newest venture as a first-time co-founder with Own Your Culture helps startups and small companies to operationalize their culture and with the intent of improving performance and bringing humanity back into the corporate environment. Her motto is #Peace and Progress, which is really helpful as she and her husband are raising their 10-year-old twins. So please join me in welcoming to the stage our closing keynote speaker, Anna Oakes. Welcome, Anna.
Hello, hello. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me and see me.
Yes, ma'am, all set.
Oh, thank you so much, Evelyn. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen and make sure that we are on track with this. So Evelyn, thank you so much for the warm welcome. Great, here we go. So Evelyn, let me know that you can see those slides when you're ready. Evelyn, can you just confirm that you can see the slides?
Looks good.
I'm sorry, Anna, tell me one more time what site you need?
You can see the slides that I'm sharing, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, guys. Evelyn, thank you so much for the warm welcome. I am here to talk about Preneur Your Life, how you can own your impact and helping others do the same. And as I was preparing this talk, I sort of was looking at these pictures, these stock photos of people, and I had to look at maybe like the aspirational side, but then I had to look at like the reality of life. So as you look at both of these pictures, thinking about this past year and a half, what has that looked like for each of us? And as much as we aspire to this, there are days like this, and that's okay. But today we're here to talk about how we can own our impact and help others do the same. So quick introduction of me. As Evelyn shared, I am an entrepreneur, but I was an intrapreneur for 19 years. And so I find myself being qualified on both sides of the spectrum to share with you today. But more than that, I am a mama. So Juniper Zula Rose is on the left and Asher, her twin brother, is on the right. And that is my family there in the middle. We dress each other up the night before the first day of school every year. The kids get to pick our outfits, which is why my husband is dressed as Snow White. So that's a little bit about me. Want to share just my Oakes Company, founder and CEO of that, Own Your Culture co-founder. I'm also a non-tech tech founder and a tech scout for people who have tech ideas and don't know what to do. So that is how I spend my time right now when I'm not with my twin 10-year-olds. But today we're going to talk about embracing the preneur. So what does that really mean to us, right? So in a time where I feel like in the area of work, right, when we think about our work, whether we're inside an organization or out on our own, a lot of time is spent thinking about the amount of hours we're spending and the title that we hold. But what I want to invite us to do is move away from that and move towards thinking about outcomes and impact. Because that is, regardless of remote work or in-person work or entrepreneurial intrapreneur, that is what matters, the outcomes and the impact that we can have on each other. And that fits perfectly today with Marah's theme of focus and flexible and purposeful. So we're actually going to use those as anchoring statements today. And my hope as your closing keynote is that I would be pulling these ideas together for you and hopefully helping you consider what you might want to bring forward for each of these areas so that you can put things to action. Because I know if you're anything like me, you've left a conference and then put your notebook away and forgot what you learned. But I really want to make sure that we're applying that today. and pulling that together. So I invite you to use the chat function. Although I cannot see it, Evelyn knows that she's welcome to interrupt me and ask a question. I want to make this as interactive as we can, and for sure I want to make it work for you. So please include your questions and comments in the chats. So as we move forward here and we're talking about embracing the preneur, and my slides are advancing. All right, here we go. So I want to talk about the concept of an intrapreneur, right? You might have heard an entrepreneur, and maybe the things that come to mind are words like innovative or risky or risk taker, right? But I would invite you to think about, regardless of the first half of that word, let's embrace the second half of the preneur. And think about the people who work inside organizations who are just as talented, who have just as many skills, but they're choosing to work inside an organization. So for those of us on the phone today or on the video today who are business owners, you might be the entrepreneur, but probably the bulk of the people that you work with are the intrapreneurs, right? And if you work for somebody who's a business owner or a company, you are the intrapreneur. And we can each embrace our power, our time, and our talents. And this is not about asking you to do more. It is about really rethinking and reshaping our thinking so that we can be more impactful. So I put this statement out there and I want you to read along. And there's actually two different slides. There's one that's focused on the entrepreneur and there's one that's focused on the intrapreneur. So I'll read the statement for you. Building your company or career took intention, strategy, significant effort. Your own development and skills took years to build and a large investment of time and money and energy. You hustled hard, you upleveled frequently, and you built or did something of impact. Will your culture and people do the same? Will your career or role do the same? And that's my passion here today, is that we can go through these 3 steps for you to get closer to embracing that. So let's start with focused. I want you to think about the key here to focus is considering what the #1 predictor of success is. Cornell University actually did a study with CEOs and said, what is the #1 predictor of success for them? So I want you just to take a second and to think about that. And we're going to do a little bit of a chat waterfall. So Evelyn, if you can monitor the chat for me here. For those of you who haven't done a chat waterfall yet, what that looks like is I'm going to ask you to type in the answer to this question. What is the #1 predictor of success? But I don't want you to hit enter on the chat. So you're going to type that word in and we're going to wait for everybody to type it in. So I'll give everybody just about 5 seconds to do that. And then as you're doing that, I just want you to consider, right, of all of the attributes and skills that a business owner or CEO can have, what is the #1 predictor of success? So I'm going to count down from 3. And then when I say go, we're all going to hit enter. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. So hopefully, Evelyn, could you read me some of the answers that are coming in?
I'm happy to, Anna. So Janet says a growth attitude. Nikki says grit. Susan says impact. We've got another grit. I've got follow through, energy, passion, innovation, reaching as many folks as you can, determination, tenacity, getting back up every time you fall, happiness, peace. I got another grit. Bob gives us goals. Jared throws in consistency. Francis, I like listener, financial awareness, and we have another determination, influence, honesty. Let's see, any other trickles?
So good. So good. Thank you, Evelyn. And look, guys, those are all amazing attributes and skills and perhaps do have some prediction of our success. But actually, Cornell found that the #1 predictor of success, guys, is self-awareness, right? It's not strategic thinking. It's not charismatic, right, behavior. It really is that ability to know yourself. Sorry, guys, I'm having a little delay in advancement of the slides here, so I'll try to stay on track here. There we go. So self-awareness is the #1 predictor of success. So that just means the more self-reflection we're doing, the more we're aware of what we're really great at. Like I like to say, our highest and best use, and maybe what's not our highest and best use, the things that take our energy, that suck that and don't replenish us. We when we know those things, we are more likely to be able to lead with authority and to impact others. So that's our focus, right? When we think about focus, it's like, how well do I know myself? So I want to give you some tools for the road to take with you when it comes to self-awareness and focus. And this really is hopefully very connected. I think you guys had your breakout session, leading a purposeful life, right? So this focus is very tied to leading a purposeful life. The first tool that I suggest is assessments, right? There are so many out there, guys. Not going to be able to go through all of them. Myers-Briggs, Insights. I am a huge fan of Clifton Strengths by Gallup, right? I believe that it looks at the positive attributes of what we do. It ranks them, all 34 strengths that we could all have within us. The important thing is that you use a tool and it gives you an understanding, both of yourself and maybe a common language that you could start using to promote, yes, promote yourself as a person of impact to other people. So the first tool is assessments, and the second one is a personal board of directors, right? Do you have a crew? People that you could go to who will advise you on different things. Think about if you are building a board of directors for an organization, you want to have diverse skills, you want people who can complement you and each other. Think about the same thing when you're thinking about your personal board of directors that you could go to for targeted questions or advice, either individually or collectively. There have been major times in my career where I have brought my personal board of directors, that includes family, friends, mentors, advisors. I brought them together. So that's a typical tool that you can use to make sure that you're staying focused. And those people can also help you increase your self-awareness if they're able to give you really tangible tactical feedback on your performance and your execution. So as we move forward with focused, there is just a few more things I want to share here. There we go. So we're moving into collaboration. The number one key to collaboration, guys, that I want you to think of, if I've talked to you about self-awareness with focus before, collaboration is all about becoming other aware. So we move from self-aware to other aware, and we really use that understanding that we have about ourselves. We start to apply that to other people. The more we give ourselves grace and understanding, the more we're able to offer that to other people. So this is about leveraging others, and not in the way of like using, right? Please don't misunderstand me. I do not mean using. I mean leveraging, saying, wow, this is Evelyn, this is your highest and best use. These are the strengths that I see in you. How am I able to leverage those in our friendship, in our partnership? How am I able to encourage you? Right? Because just as this is about leveraging other people, this is about building others up. And I feel as if when we know ourselves, when we know other people's best and highest use, we'll be able to not only leverage them, but build them up by saying, gosh, doesn't it feel good to be in your zone of genius? Right? So that's collaboration, and a couple tools for the road here, guys, because we don't have that much time together. So I really want to make sure I'm giving you as much impact as I can. The tools for the road for collaboration are, first and foremost, remember that the daily habits and behaviors of ourselves and other people in our system, community, right? That could be church, that could be work, that could be school. The way we behave and treat each other daily actually dictates our culture. So the behavior is really important. And thinking about how we are collaborating in truly, I would think, humanity-focused ways, right? And I can say that I was raised by hippies, so I lead with humanity. I have a bleeding heart for that, but also with performance. And that's collaboration, that we can balance being humans together while still operating from a top performance perspective. And then I also want us to leverage tools well. We are in an age, guys, of remote work, right? We were all sort of forced to, in the past year, move to what we would call crisis remote work. It's not true remote work, right? We didn't have time to set up systems and processes that helped us be sustainable. So we started using words like asynchronous. I can still remember my twins are in 4th grade, and the first time an email came home from their school with the word asynchronous in it, I had the eye roll, and I was like, could we please just use common words that everybody uses? And now here I am a year later, finding myself using that word frequently, because that's where we live, right? Talking about synchronous work, asynchronous work, the future of work, remote work, you name it, it's happening. And because we have these new abilities to use Hop In, for example, with our presentation today, we have to learn how to leverage those tools really, really well. So I will share a couple of my favorite tools with you for you to take on the road. The first one I've been using for years. It's a free app called Voxer. It's a walkie-talkie app. I started using it with my team when we found that our inboxes were getting full. We were using Monday and Asana to manage our projects. Our text messages inboxes were full, and it was really hard to keep track of everything. So we said, you know, if it's not specific to the project and it's just day-to-day questions, why don't we try using this walkie-talkie app? I now use it with all my coaching clients. They have unlimited access to me on there. And the thing we love most about Voxer is that we go into the app when we're ready to check messages. So it's audio, it's pictures, it's files, it's videos. It's a great tool. I hope you'll check it out, or something like that. I know a lot of companies are using Slack, Google Teams, right, or Microsoft Teams, Google Meets. There's all the great tools out there. But I want us to get really good at that, because there are lots of meetings that we are having that could certainly be email, that could certainly be asynchronous communication. So the second tool that I want to share with you related to collaboration, it's not mine, just like Voxer. It's a company called GitLab, and they do a lot of beautiful things for their customers. But the thing that I appreciate most about them is they are putting out a tremendous amount of content related to remote work, hybrid teams, how to structure things. So guys, here's the thing. We don't have to recreate the wheel. We can borrow from the best and make sure that we're getting ideas that at least other people have tried, other tools that other people have tried. So GitLab, if you just Google GitLab and remote work, you'll find free guides that you can download, but you'll find thousands of pages of free content out online on their website that their leaders, their head of remote, Darren Murph, and even their employees have also contributed to. So those are some of the tools that are going to help us with, I think, the future of work, the future of collaboration. Regardless of entrepreneur, we can start yielding those tools really, really well. And collaboration for me too, guys, as we think about that. I know you had a breakout group today. I think it's pivoting into a virtual world, right? And having that mind reset. That's what this is about, right? We're pivoting. And I know we've heard that phrase a lot. And often we're like, okay, enough with the pivoting. But this is about playing the long game, right? This is about finding ways to connect in the new normal. I mean, I'm aging myself, but hopefully you guys will meet me here. I mean, I grew up in a time where we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers in schools, right? So we have moved beyond and sort of embraced the technology and figured out how that fits in with the human connection. And we can keep doing that really, really well for collaboration too. So our third one is purposeful, right? That's our grounding, our third grounding aspect of today. And the key here, guys, is to leverage strengths for impact. This is about building our network internally and externally. And I say this because I coach startup founders and heads of companies, small companies to large companies, but I also coach individual contributors inside. And I believe that the advice for the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur is the same, that we need to be building really impactful networks internally and externally. And that means we have to take our blinders off, and that could be industry specific, right? So financial services, yes, great. You know, a lot of people in the financial services industry, right? I used to be a leader in the HR team at Baird, right? Robert W. Baird. So great company, but what else is going on outside of financial services, right? We sort of need to take those blinders out of our industry, out of our company, out of our comfort zone. I have to take my own advice. I read a lot, and I have so many business books and coaching books and leadership books, but I force myself at least one book a month has to be something that doesn't have to do with business. It doesn't have to do with leadership. And we have to push ourselves that way, right? So continuing to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, because this is about working in our business and on our business, right? And there's a difference. And entrepreneurs, business owners might be used to hearing that phrase, but we can think about how to make the cupcakes, but we also think about how we run the cupcake factory, right? And entrepreneurs, you might be thinking like, how does that apply to me? You need to be thinking about where you're at right now and where you are going next, right? I like to use the phrase in my TEDx talk, for example, what's your best next? And if you were only thinking or working in your role or in your company and not on your role or your company, you're operating in a very short-sighted vision. So here's your tools for the road when it comes to purposeful. So I suggest that everybody adopt some form of the concept related to informational interviews. So if you're inside a company and you're an entrepreneur, there's one context that you can look at this, right? So I would suggest maybe practicing internally first, right? What else is going on in the organization? What's that department over there doing? What are you curious about of the big company goal that they're moving forward? How's that project working, right? Ask to meet with somebody. Ask to hear about how did you get involved in the project? What is your role? How did this project move forward? How does it tie to the organization's goals, right? Get curious. People love to share about that type of stuff. And if you can get curious there, then you can start practicing this curiosity, right? Which I think is one of the top skills that we need to have in this new age of work. Practice that curiosity. And then when you're ready, start taking it outside of the organization. I mean, listen, if you are in IT, if you're in HR, if you're in marketing, whatever entrepreneurial role that you have, you should be thinking about what are the people in that company over there doing? Because you're going to learn from that. You're going to grow, you're going to get perspective about best practices. And I also think there's a secondary benefit for the entrepreneurs is the grass is not greener on the other side. It's just a different color and there's always dog poop in the yard. So when we can sort of gain perspective, we start to look around at our grass and think like, it's not so bad. It's got its ups and downs, but I can embrace it, right? And then we kind of refresh our thinking in terms of maximizing that impact for other people and ourselves. And I think the same is true for entrepreneurs, right? Taking those blinders off, getting out, gaining perspective outside of the industry that you own your company in, outside of the current topics and goals that you have, continue to stretch yourself in those areas. So the other one is, look, guys, some of you are going to be like, are you serious? But podcasts and video casts are a great tool. I used to have a long form podcast and I started a 10-minute video cast over the last year because it's easier for my team and I to pull off. And I wanted to give micro conversations to people in bite-sized nuggets. Do something that you could practice. You don't even have to air it at first, right? Interview friends, do it audio only. Join Clubhouse, which you don't have to appear on camera, but do something to be practicing of not only talking about yourself and your skills as an entrepreneur and entrepreneur, but also being curious with other people and pulling them into the conversation. Those are things that are going to get you in front of people that you would have never got in front of before, and it's going to help you practice skills to get to your best next. The last one is a career audit. So guys, I'm going to show you a visual of the very simple but very impactful career audit that I share. And there's 4 questions, right? So I'll show you this visual. I'll move to the next slide though, because sometimes depending on how big you have me on your screen, you may not be able to read this clearly. So here's the questions of the career audit. The first one, I want you to do some reflection on what have I achieved? And you may be senior in your career or business ownership and think like, I know what I've achieved, but listen, like we move so fast that we forget things. So really stopping to think about what have I achieved? And we also have this habit of downplaying ourselves because imposter syndrome, because of the way that we were raised, because of we're human. So when we really challenge ourselves to write it down, what have I achieved? And you could go role by role, you could go year by year, but really make sure that you are auditing what you've achieved. Because I promise you, you're going to find things in that audit that you did not know about before. All right, so the second question, just jogging my memory here. Here we go. So what lessons have I learned? We've got question number 3 up there too. What beliefs and truths have I formed? When we think about the lessons that we've learned, this is about what are the experiences and then how have I applied them? Because I've been coaching leaders for a long time, guys, and individual contributors. I promise you this is a gap for most of us. We might know what we've achieved. We might know what the projects we've worked on. We might know the boards that we served on. Even the Purple Diamond Award winners today, we might know all of those things, but when we really stop to think about like, what did I learn from that? How did I grow? And let me say one thing for the entrepreneurs, and this might be true for all preneurs, but I know that it's true for those inside organizations, whether you are a 4-person team or a 4,000-person company. We will often look at our role as this obligation. But I would just invite you to reframe your thinking. Or if you have employees, help them reframe their thinking that this is all about learning and growing. For real, like think about the mindset shift that it would take to say, okay, I'm getting paid to work on projects and do work where I can learn and grow and get ready for my best next every day. If you look at it like that, it's a great mindset shift. It's so healthy. It refreshes your thinking. It makes you sit up straighter in your chair. And I think it makes you have a bigger impact on your own career as well as the other people around you. Because it's that pause and that reflection of stopping to think, wow, how am I doing this routine task that I have to do that makes me roll my eyes? Or how am I doing this new project that I only get to do one time? You can learn things from both of those. Third question in the audit is, what beliefs and truths have I formed? This is a little bit more deep, right? This is going to require some reflection because this is more introspective of understanding that sometimes we look at life and others and even ourselves through certain lenses. So understanding those beliefs and truths that you formed throughout your career are going to be impactful to make the next best, whatever that is, which by the way, could be the current career you're in with just refresh thinking, could be the department or the company next door. We don't know. But pausing to think about those beliefs and truths and how they affect my behavior and my performance, very important. And the fourth one, here we go. What relationships have I built? I meet a lot of people, and I bet you too. So I feel like when we really look back, we are going to discover like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to Evelyn in 5 years. But man, I really enjoyed that time that we worked on that project, or we worked together, or we served on that board, or our kids went to school together even. Right? There are people that have been, if you think about it, that are in your life, but probably have been on pause for just a little while, that if you could refresh that, you could pour into each other in new and I think vigorous ways. So I gave you those 3 tips, guys. I would love to help you make big things happen. I try to put as much free things out there as I can. We have a Culture and People cast Culture Career cast. Oh goodness, that's not right. It's the Culture and People cast, but you get it. It's a 10-minute cast. It's on YouTube. You can find it on LinkedIn. We have a long form podcast where we share a ton of great episodes. And we also have a blog. I want to serve you in whatever way that I can. So these are a few ways that we can get connected. You can email me. You can Vox me if you want to download the Vox and send me a voice message or a text message. I'm also available on social media at the Anna Oaks, and you can find all of our team stuff and everything else that way too. Our website is there. But I really I appreciate the time. I try to leave a few minutes here at the end, Evelyn, to see if there are any questions or ways that I could add value to the audience today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And unfortunately, we could spend the rest of the afternoon asking questions because this was a very pithy presentation. Lots of good takeaways for our audience today. But we did get one question that I think is an important one because you talked about self-awareness being the number one predictor of success. And there's so much that gets packed into that. What is the best and highest use of my time? As you said, what sucks the life energy out of me? And I immediately had a list kind of run through my mind of those things. And then you referenced the imposter syndrome, when you're afraid to own something that you are very good at. And then there's the societal perception of women who talk about when they are good. And it's, we love the men in the audience. But it's just different. Men can talk about where they're really good, and that's fine. And women can attempt, and sometimes it's not viewed or received as favorably. So could you talk a little bit about how you can own your strength without coming across or being perceived in that way?
Yeah. I feel like it's an equation. There's not one thing, Evelyn, that's going to help you improve your strength. I will say I'm a huge believer, and I say it over and over again, the world would be a better place if we all had a therapist and a coach. I have both on speed dial. And I'm also realistic that not everybody is going to jump into that with both feet. So I try to give you so many tools today that could be a start of owning the power and the strength, owning your time and your talents and your voice, and using those differently. So if I had to say of all of these tools, start with the career audit, do that reflection, and then practice talking about yourself, right? I talk in my TEDx talk, I give 4 Ps. Permission is one of them, but the one I'll share with you right now is promote. Right? We have to promote ourselves because I talk to so many people, Evelyn, inside organizations, and this is not what they say, but this is what they're doing. They are waiting for their boss or their company to hand them everything on a silver platter. And they're not like sitting back like this, eating bonbons waiting, but they are sort of like anticipating, like hoping that something will come through that they'll be able to work on, that will build their self-awareness, or they'll be able to make an impact. We can't do that anymore. We can't wait for that. We need to step into our power and start articulating the things that we're really good at. So once you do that career audit, practice to a friend, practice to your life partner, practice to a coworker where you guys could practice together, but practice promoting yourself in ways that are really authentic through storytelling, right? Storytelling and curiosity are 2 of the top strengths, because once you practice that storytelling, it's going to be very natural to say things like this, Evelyn, when you're in a meeting. Oh my gosh, I would love to work on a project like that. I worked on a project very similar 5 years ago. The value that I added was XYZ. The team as a whole was 10 people, but I just love the fact that we were able to accomplish this, right? So it wasn't just like the Anna show, it was talking about value that you brought to an organization with other people, which is sometimes a safer process and feels safer for us when we're not just saying like, hey, look at me, here's what I'm really great at.
I love that as a solution. Storytelling does feel safer, and the listener is less likely to perceive that it's the Anna show or the Evelyn show if the success is within the context of a broader story like that. So I think that's a great idea for conveying strengths and ways that we have made impact and have been successful without the audience potentially thinking that we're tooting our own horn a little too much.
Yeah, because look, I grew up in the Midwest. Everybody's scared of feeling like we're braggarts. So it's like, look, we just have to learn how to promote in a really authentic way to ourselves.
Right. Well, I love the idea of the career audit as a starting point to gain clarity around that. And I know several folks in the chat have commented that they're on it as far as taking that career audit as a first step. So thanks so much, Anna, for all that you've shared with us today. We really appreciate you spending some time with us and appreciate you sharing your contact information. I'm sure if the ladies have, or our audience has any additional questions, that you'll be hearing from them. So thanks very much for joining us and have a great weekend.
Of course. Thank you, everybody. Peace and progress.
Thanks very much, Anna. All right, team. Well, we have made it. We are in the home stretch. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping to wrap some things up. And then I know that Marah wants to have the final word. And so I will turn it over to her in 2 seconds. So I'm back with the logistical things. So a shout out with warmth, affection, and love for all of you who have joined us today. And a special shout out to our speakers, our moderators, and all those volunteers behind the scenes who made this happen. Hat tip especially to Jared and Cheryl, running around with your hair on fire trying to get the technology to serve us. So thank you very much for all that you have done to make this a success today. The theme for the International Women's Day this year is choose to challenge. Choose to challenge. And that has very many, that onion has a lot of layers, doesn't it? That's choose to challenge myself, my community, my nation, and my world. And not in a negative way, but rather that by challenging, we're aware and we are alert and we are seeking opportunities to improve and to elevate and to enhance. And we hope that today your time with us will do just that there may have been some challenging moments for you. And I don't mean the technology. I mean through some of the content that you might have heard, that it has inspired you, but we also hope that it's really been an opportunity to think about being focused, being flexible, and being purposeful. We would love your feedback, and we are going to make it as easy for you as we possibly can. The survey, I will drop the link in the chat. Marah has put it in there a couple of times. 6 questions, 6 short, easy questions, and we really would appreciate it. We will hang on your every word for feedback because we want to make this better and something that's really valuable for attendees when we do our 6th annual Women's Symposium next year. And one final shout out, I hope you've noted today there hasn't been any ask for money or anything like that, except right now. We are a nonprofit organization, but there are still some costs associated with doing this. For example, Hopin and some of the other things that we've had to pay for. And our registration fees cover some of that. But if you would like to support the symposium financially, it is tax deductible. Talk to your tax preparer. And if you would like to do that, you can either go to our website, which is wssocal.org, and I'll put that in the chat box as well. Or you can go to the expo, and we have a booth there, and there's a PayPal link, and we will take any donation with gratitude. So one final comment is that we're going to actually keep networking and the expo open for about half an hour after Marah brings us home with her concluding remarks. So if you'd like to network, meet some of the attendees, or take a final stroll around the expo, please feel free to do so. We'll leave it open till about 1:30 today. So Marah, with that, I'm going to turn the final microphone over to you, and I'll say, great to see all of you. Thanks for joining us. And Marah, it's all you.
Wow, Evelyn, what a great program. Who's with me? I am just blown away. I think Anna was fantastic. We had Jen Arbach. We had Anna Oakes. I'm just so delighted and hope that each and every one of you will continue to get something out of the symposium here even after we conclude. All right, Jared, we're rolling the slides. All right. Maybe not just yet. But what I wanted to do is just share with you that International Women's Day is just a growing movement centered around unity and strength. And of course, it's a global celebration of all international women and our achievements. Here's some great statistical, financial empowerment trends that you need to know about, feel great about as we head into the rest of this year. Women are projected to pretty much in the United States manage 2/3 of all wealth in the next 30 to 40 years. Women, we are going to rule the world. So you need to feel empowered to make those good decisions for your family. And we have more than 8 million women-owned businesses in the United States, and they are thriving 5 times faster than their counterparts as far as some statistics go. Women make 80% of the purchasing decisions in a household. Let's think about that. We're making all these financial decisions. We need to be empowered with the proper tools to continue to do that and lead our families and ourselves. Women, we've made a stride in marketing. Every single industry now wants to focus on us because of these statistics and facts that we are a money power in today's modern age. This has been a tremendous and historic year. We have more high-ranking elected women in the United States than ever before. Last month, I took this clip, it's a little orange thing, 37 companies in the S&P 500 pledged a diversity over the next 10 years to hire minorities, including women, train them, and elevate them up through the ranks. If you're looking for a job, these are the companies you might want to look for because they're looking for you. All right. Essentially, what we're going to do is continue to advocate for what is still needed and any action that we need to take to continue to break down any barriers in front of us. All right, Jared, we're on the next slide. This is pretty cool. I don't know if you can see it, small on my screen, but it's showing the global trends of women's gap in income compared to men. Historically, women have earned 75 to 80 cents on the dollar for the same job that our male counterparts work, but that gap has closed, and it hasn't just closed here in the United States, but as you can see globally, because of global awareness campaigns like International Women's Day. Very, very proud that all of you are here to take that time to invest in yourself and celebrate the women around the world and locally. All right, Jared. Evelyn did mention now is the time that, you know, whether it's Women's Symposium or another women's organization, now is the time to not lift the foot from the pedal. It is time to continue to empower women, invest in women charities, invest in women in your supply chains at businesses. This was a statistic. Unfortunately, COVID has affected women and specifically minority women more than anyone else in the last year. We need your help. We need all women's help to get resources, education to our community, and it's a group endeavor. I look forward to working with you on this as we take this charge and choose to challenge. I cordially invite you to lift the torch with me next year, International Women's Day. We will be celebrating on Friday, March 4th, 2022. Save the date. All right. Last but not least, I want to recognize all these fantastic program participants. They were very patient with our breakout sessions and so forth. All of our program participants were recruited based on their credentials in history. They were specifically hand selected by Susan and our program committee to ensure that all of you have a fabulous experience, walk away motivated, and armed with actionable tools to change your life. Please continue the grassroots awareness campaign. Take this energy, spread it around, wear your purple till Monday, and let's enjoy the rest of the afternoon mingling, networking, and of course, want to give a shout out to some of our great gold sponsors. We have Connected Women of Influence. We have the Women's Journey Foundation, Pathways to Independence. We have WISE. We also have our gold sponsors, Schaefer Colon. We have, who else do we have? Port of Long Beach. We have a lot of great expo and awareness for you. All of our logo links should be clickable to their websites. And please, please engage. Ask us as many questions. We're here to help you. We are your community. And I hope that you had a beautiful, beautiful, and memorable event today. Thank you so much. I guess we're excused. And I want to bid you a very, very great weekend. Appreciate all of your time. Visit the expo booths. Contribute to a cause, vote, donate your time, donate your money, and meet lots of great connections. We got a lot of great ladies here. Thanks so much.